Greetings everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm your host Captain Ryan. Today's video is another Yu Yang replay. This time this one comes from Greeny43. And obviously, as mentioned, Greeny is playing in the Tier 10 Pan-Asia Destroyer Yu Yang here in World of Warships. As the battle gets underway, it's Warrior's Path and it's Domination Match mode here. And Greeny has spawned closest to the sea cap point, so the sea cap point is where he went. But now if you pay attention to the minimap here, right as the battle gets going and underway here, he's isolated and by himself. He doesn't have any backup who's come back here with him. Now, he spots the enemy destroyer who's popped up there, enemy Kagero, has popped a smoke screen and he's trying now to run away here. Partly because he's got an enemy Missouri bearing down on his position. He's well inside that radar range there, and the Missouri has popped his radar. The end result, though, was that several people were targeting him, and Greeny gets a first blood here by effectively blind torping a cruiser that he didn't see. Now, Greeny did not stick around in his smoke screen. I cannot tell you the number of times I have seen destroyer captains who will simply sit in their smokescreen and try and outlast the potential that is that radar. And every single time I watched far too many of them meet their untimely demise at the hands of whatever is radaring them. Now Greeny's done the smart thing. He's gone, he's popped the smokescreen initially. As soon as he was radared, he hit that speed boost and he bolted out of there. Pretty much just left the cap, opened up the distance. You'll notice that is something that he did there was he basically sailed directly away from the Missouri, and this done specifically to open that distance and reduce the potential of getting hit by multiple shells. Now he did get hit there, he took a big hit, and he's being detected yet again. Now, if you look at the situation here with his detectability, since he's got a 5.8 kilometer detectability, if you're being detected in this situation, you should know it's definitely an enemy destroyer who's detecting you. And since the Kagero was last spotted over here, you can safely assume it's probably the Kagero who is spotting you. Now the enemy team has taken the lead here. They've managed to kill two of Greeny's teammates, a destroyer and a cruiser. Well, Greeny's only managed to kill just their cruiser. And the enemy team has secured the B and C cap points at this point. Greeny manages to connect a torpedo on somebody as his team also manages to take out a cruiser there. So at the very least, they've managed to keep the points relatively equal here. But since the enemy team has got 2 cap points, they are going to gain more points here and gain the points lead. Now once again, Greeny is being detected. Now you can see there he's got the radio location captain skill, and that's telling him who the closest target is to him. And in this case, definitely going to be the Kagero since he is being detected, and clearly the Kagero is within that 5.8 kilometer detection range, and nothing else is. So Greeny goes ahead, he opens up with his guns, he pops his smoke screen yet again, and this is mostly just to break line of sight with that Kagero so that the enemy ships that are at the sea cap point who are in range there, as you can see all the secondaries coming in there, that's going to be from one of the German battleships, either the Kurfürst or the De Grosser. So he pops his smokescreen to break line of sight. But just because you've broken line of sight and popped your smokescreen does not mean you're safe. Remember, there is an enemy destroyer here, and while we did just see those torpedoes go past Greeny, it could be fair to assume that that Kagero may in fact have a trick up his sleeve. There might be another enemy destroyer. Since they have 4 of them, they definitely have the destroyer advantage in this game. So as a result of having that disadvantage, you have to think about the possibility of having a destroyer wolf pack come and try and hunt you down. Now Greeny is going in the direction that that Kagero was spotted, but the reason for that is he's got an enemy Monarch battleship back behind him, and that guy, well, the high explosive on that could absolutely wreck Greeny if he gets spotted by him. So, not wanting to sit in a smokescreen that's going to dissipate and be caught out in the open there, he motors away from that battleship, and he gets torpedoes off towards him. Now, Unfortunately, the first set of torpedoes does not connect with that battleship, but the second set is on its way, and provided that battleship doesn't do much, and considering he's now basically run aground, it could be a potential kill here. Can he do it? Very, very low health. He is flooding. He's got shots out there. This is a calculated risk when that's the case, and one that I would absolutely take there, because there's the potential there that that guy might have stopped the flooding. He could have repaired it, and he could have effectively started healing up. By opening fire on him, you open up the possibility of killing him outright and landing a couple of good hits, but you also run the possibility of setting him on fire if he's stopped the flooding. Now, Greeny has dropped off detectability once again. There's something that I'd like to point out here. It looks like, Greeny, if you're watching this, you're using the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Shift is your friend. Set that adjustment right at the beginning of the game. Hit shift, zoom all the way in, hit shift again, zoom all the way out, and then just shift back and forth between the two. Life will become much, much easier. Now, the enemy has taken a massive, massive lead here in the respect that they still have 2 of the cap points. They're up by over 100 points, but more importantly, they still have all 4 of their destroyers. Now, you know what I say in games here is that the team that gains the destroyer advantage, especially this early in a match, usually goes on to victory. Enemy Kagero once again pops up here. Now, Greeny is getting shots out at him. He's managed to hit him, set him on fire. Kagero's putting that fire out there, and it looked like he was thinking he might try to pop a smoke screen there. He definitely got torpedoes away there. Again, was detected briefly, but Greeny did the smart thing. He turned in towards that Kagero. He got shots out there. Now, because the Kagero didn't get a smoke screen out, there's no enemy smoke screen to go hide in. That means if Greeny comes around this corner and there's an enemy ship waiting for him, he's going to have to use his own smoke screen. But finally, an enemy destroyer is dead. Granted, only a tier 8 destroyer in a tier 10 battle, but the Kagero with its sneaky concealment package was definitely a problem, at least for Greeny, because he's the only ship that could detect him outright with line of sight before Greeny could see him. Now, of course, there are still other ships in play here, and some of them may have hydroacoustic, and some of them may have radar that you got to think about as a possibility. A little bit of a replay bug here. Greeny is actually targeting the North Carolina, coming back around this island. And he's holding off there, and that's when he comes around the headland of this island, and there is an enemy Mogami. Now, this is a very, very dangerous cruiser to run into as a destroyer, even a tier 10 destroyer, because this cruiser can absolutely put out the hurt. Fortunately for Greeny, this cruiser is running with the 8-inch guns, which means he's not able to put out that high volume of fire that the Mogami is absolutely known for putting out. The disadvantage here is that North Carolina is paying attention and is aware that there is now an enemy destroyer sitting in the cap, capping away, and probably has torpedoes out at him as he's slowed down and sort of turned in there. So instead of getting hit by more than half the torpedoes there, he's only gonna take 2. And you'll notice, though, that this North Carolina was set on fire by Greeny, and immediately hit that R key. He immediately hit the repair button. As a result of hitting that repair button when he did, he actually avoided taking any flooding damage, but that could have gone really, really badly for him if those torpedoes had impacted 20 seconds later. Then he'd be flooding and probably flood to death. Now, you'll notice that the cap has stopped counting. This is an indicator that North Carolina, possibly another ship, has entered the cap. But since we haven't seen anything, you can assume that it's the North Carolina. That would be the safe bet at the very least. Enemy team now is really in bad straits. They've lost a lot of their ships, surprisingly enough, and they're definitely being forced back here. Greeny is sitting in a smokescreen, and that's when he's detected right immediately after the smokescreen dissipates. Now, the North Carolina is definitely inside range there and puts the shots out there, but enemy Fletcher, who is full strength, pops up. Even in the Yu Yang, the Fletcher's not a ship I really want to engage, and considering that Greeny didn't have a lot of health here, this is a really bad situation. Now he gets torpedoes out at that North Carolina, but look at this, the Fletcher has actually run into the North Carolina, and if it wasn't for the fact that those are deep water torpedoes, Greeny would have walked away with a double strike then and there, because that Fletcher broadside on to a full set of torpedoes as he impacted that friendly battleship. Wow, that could have been really a wonderful kill, but again, deep water torpedoes. Of course, the one time the deep water torpedoes are actually a detriment to you, because that Fletcher still has more health than Greeny does. Now, he did take a big hit there, and he did force Greeny out of the sea cap point. So that's going to give the enemy team, at the very least, sea cap point for a little bit. Now, Greeny has popped his smoke screen, and he's popped it a little bit late here. He was already not detected, as the enemy Fletcher has popped his smoke screen as well after having taken such a big hit. Probably didn't want to continue the engagement here. This is smart on his part, simply because engaging a Yu Yang is like engaging a gearing, and if Greeny goes bow on, he's got the advantage in an attack, where the Fletcher has to turn more broadside to get all of his guns to bear. Now, at this point, the enemy team is down to just 4 ships, but Greeny's team is maintaining just barely the lead with 5 ships. So the enemy team really could, if they wanted to, rally and cause some serious problems, especially considering the 3 of the 4 remaining ships are destroyers. And we know at least one of those destroyers is my favorite destroyer, which is the Fletcher, and we know how powerful that ship can be. Now, Greeny's going to make a risk here. He's going to push into the sea cap point and start capping it. At the very least, this is going to prevent the enemy team from gaining points, but it's also going to reveal his location and position to the enemy ships, including that Fletcher. It's also going to force the enemy, if they want any chance of winning this game, to come back and deal with him. Now, that Fletcher knows how much health Greeny has if he's paying attention. And last time we saw that Fletcher, he had about the same amount of health, so this could be a very fair fight. The difference is Greeny doesn't have any backup, where that Fletcher could potentially come in with 2 other destroyers. At this point, his team, however, does have a bit of an advantage. They have the A and B cap point, and they're about to get the C cap point. And you can see Greeny's radio location there telling him roughly where the enemy ship is. Now, he doesn't know which ship that is, but we can assume it's probably the Fletcher, since that was what was last spotted. And if you look at the minimap, you can see where the other 2 ships were also last spotted. With the addition of the sea cap point, now his team is starting to gain points really rapidly. But look how much health a couple of these ships have. There's not a lot of health on the battleship, especially one of them. And that could be a serious problem. Now, enemy Fletcher has gotten torpedoes off here, but this is why I say never launch a widespread, even speculatively, because look, all the room to maneuver, and the Yu Yang is a particularly maneuverable destroyer. I think it's a little bit better than the Fletcher and gearing, in my opinion. I've found it much easier to torpedo beats. Greeny is detected. There is the enemy Fletcher. He's not got a lot of health left now. He's getting shots out there. The Fletcher's getting shots off there. You can see how quickly that ship was able to get shots out there, and how much health Greeny is left with as a result. Now, his first shots, unfortunately, went short of that Fletcher, and that Fletcher was able to get even more shots off. But luckily, it only took 1 hit to finish off that Fletcher, given how much health he had left. So Greeny, at the very least, was able to do that. But look at this now. The enemy team is down to 2 ships. Greeny's team is in the 900 points range, but the enemy team still has 2 destroyers, and the amount of health left on some of those ships is not a lot. And the enemy team manages to take out their Lion. Now, with that ship gone, that leaves just a 3 versus 2. The advantage, though, is with Greeny's team, as they hold all 3 cap points. The disadvantage here is we don't know how much health those 2 remaining destroyers have, Greenie is on incredibly low health, and there's at least that other battleship that's also low health. If these destroyers really manage to get lucky, they could definitely still pull off a win here. Now, the Hindenburg, who's got full health here, is pushing up towards where one of those destroyers was last spotted. And you can see there, enemy destroyer has started capping the A cap point, but it might be too little too late. However, if those enemy destroyers can kill one of the 3 remaining ships, including Greenie here, they could, again, still pull off a victory here. At this point, though, you can see Greenie typing into the chat, just stay alive. And this is something you have to remember. Even though it looks like victory is secured, you have to assess the health of your teammates. Victory might look like it's secured, but if you all die, you can still lose. So, stay alive and secure that victory. And from the looks of it here, yes, victory is secure. And you saw that enemy destroyer pop up there, still had quite a bit of health left on him. And if he'd run into Greenie, Greenie would not have survived that engagement. 158,000 damage done there, 5 kills, Kraken Unleash, First Blood, devastating strike. And this was definitely during the New Year event there with 12,000 experience earned and a wonderful credit earned, over 500,000 in a tier 10 game. Top of the team for XP earned at well over 2,500 base XP, almost 1,000 base XP higher than the next nearest player on his team. And of course, the enemy team had the cruiser that, well, had 0. So AFK or dead first, not entirely sure which. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you like the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, you can do so by liking and following me on Facebook. If you'd like to help support me and the channel, you can do so by becoming my supporter on Patreon. Every little bit helps. If you've got a replay like this one that you'd like to see featured on my channel, you can send it to my email. And if you'd like to watch me play various games live, you can follow me on Twitch. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below. And as always, I'll see you next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.